Hello, everyone. It is me, Danielle J. Mitchell, your up-and-coming queen of real estate, and I'm here for another episode of Tuesday Tip at 2. I am here with an all-new brand new episode, and you do not want to miss what we're talking about today. We're going to continue talking about this National Association of Realtors settlement that still has the internet on fire and the industry on fire. And today I'm just going to give you some 3 points. I'm going to focus in on those 3 points and 3 takeaways from the settlement, as well as some buyer Q&A and some seller Q&A. What do you need to know in regards to how this influences the way you purchase or sell real estate? But first, of course, I have to let you guys know I'm a licensed real estate agent. I service the Philadelphia and surrounding suburbs, and I'm not limited to Philly, but I service Delaware County, Philadelphia County, Montgomery County, Chester County, all the different counties. All right. So I would love to help you. If you're interested in buying or selling, I am here for you. But also, even if you are outside of where I'm licensed, I can absolutely refer you to somebody because I have realtor partners all across the country. So if you need assistance, if you like what I'm doing, if you want to partner with me, I can absolutely refer you to somebody who can help you in your local city or county. All right. Like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I appreciate it. Now, let's jump right into it. The thing I want to talk about right now is just an overview. There was the NAR settlement, and where the National Association of Realtors had made a settlement in regards to this lawsuit that had been going on for some time, where it was essentially a bit of malpractice in regards to commissions. Maybe some people weren't as forthtelling as they were or should be. And, it gave some sellers pause, all right, several sellers at that. And so long to the short, I want to talk about the 3 points and takeaways that you need to know as a consumer, as a buyer, as a seller, if you're trying to buy or sell real estate, as well as if you're trying to look to work with a real estate professional, which you should. You absolutely should. My last episode, I did a great interview with my branch manager at Coldwell Banker Realty. It was so phenomenal, and many people enjoyed it thoroughly. And so today I wanted to really break it down in even more layman's terms. So because we kind of mix the layman's term with the kind of professional jargon as well. But today I'm going to take it down even more for to specifically talk about what it means to you buyer, what it means to you seller. And let's go. The key takeaway number 1 is that commissions will not be advertised on the multiple listing services, database, website, whatever you want to call it. Okay. It's not going to be on there or the MLS. And so as a real estate professional, I pay to use the multiple listing service to make sure that I have access to all the different listings out there. And as well as when I have listings to put it on there. So all the other licensed agents are able to view it, of course, for the buyers. So from there, you can do a whole litany of things. But the main thing is to view properties, get the details on properties. And so on the MLS, you will see, based on this picture here, as I put it here, you will see that a portion of the MLS that you will see on there is an offer of compensation. And so it says on there how much they will offer a buyer agent. Okay. So it will no longer, as of, I believe it's July, it will no longer be able to be displayed on the MLS. So that is the key point number 1. Key point number 2 is agents will have to negotiate compensation with their clients. Okay. So whether you're a listing agent and you're making negotiations to what the commission is, what the listed for, as well as a negotiation on if and what you will pay a buyer agent, as well as a buyer agent negotiating with their buyer client, saying, hey, in an event that a listing agent or that seller is not paying my commission, this is what will happen. So having those negotiations and those conversations. Now, I want to point out that this has already been happening. This is something that happens when I go for a listing appointment. We're talking about the property, talking about commission, talking about all these different things. This is already something that happens, right? When I work with my buyers, when I have them sign a buyer agency contract and I'm going over what my commission is and all of that stuff, I let them know, hey, in an event that somebody does not want to pay, this is what my minimum is. This is what my requirement is. These are practices that already, with any good agent, have been happening, but it is even the more emphasized now. So business as we know it has not changed. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. Has not changed. We are still continuing to have the same business practices that we should always have been having and will continue to have. All right. Because of this settlement agreement, a buyer will have to sign paperwork with their buyer agent, talking about commissions, detailing things, detailing everything that they will be charged in regards to commission. They will have to sign a written agreement detailing their representation, what that looks like. Again, these are practices. If you're a decent agent, you have been doing this. If you have had a decent agent, they have been doing this. The paperwork that you're signing should explain all of this, because the paperwork that you do sign when you're working with a realtor and you're a buyer absolutely breaks all of these things down. Clear. So these updates are really them cracking down on business practices that we should have been doing all along. And many of us out here who are integral and who are just trying to make sure our clients are satisfied and happy with what we're doing absolutely have been doing this. Some buyer Q&A. Buyer, what do you need to ask, or what do you need to know? Here's a great question for you to know about. Is it required for a seller to offer commission to a buyer's broker or to a buyer, essentially a buyer agent? Very common for that practice. All right. So at any given moment, I could be representing a seller. At any given moment, I could be representing a buyer. I'm going to make sure that when I'm representing a seller, somebody that's listing their house, I'm absolutely going to have the conversation about why it's encouraged to offer buyer agent compensation. And we're going to go a bit over that in the seller portion of the Q&A. But as a buyer, it is very much common. So don't feel like you should, if you can prepare for an event that you may have to give a couple extra dollars to your buyer agent because a portion of it, is not being paid, you should prepare if you can. I don't want people to be fearful to use a realtor because they think that they are not going to get the representation that they need. Another question: if the seller of the property is not offering buyer agent compensation or buyer broker compensation, then what? Great question. In an event that happens, I am going to let you know what you can do. Number one, you can make a purchase offer subject to the seller agreeing to pay the broker's or the buyer's broker commission, okay, or buyer agent's commission. Number two, you can negotiate a hybrid where the seller may pay a part of the buyer's broker commission with you, the buyer, paying the balance, okay? And number three, you as the buyer would pay the full commission. So those are the options in the event that a seller does not want to pay your realtor representing you. All right. Seller question that you may have: am I required to offer buyer broker or buyer agent compensation? Answer: no. Buyer compensation is not required by law. It is not required by law, but it is something that can be negotiated as a part of your listing contract. It is fully negotiable. You do not have to. You're not required to. You never were required to. I want to make that perfectly clear. You were never required to. It is something that you negotiate with your listing agent. Number two question: a buyer agent refused to show my home if I do not offer them compensation. That's a great question. Let's talk about it. No, but the buyers themselves could decide that the additional costs that they would have to pay associated with buying your particular house makes it less attractive or seemingly or probably unaffordable. Okay. Now, inventory is absolutely low. But when, you're kind of forcing buyers in a situation where it's like, well, I would love to get your house, but I can't afford to get your house because, as we know, The homes prices are quite high, but if they have to add on top of that the extra cost of paying their agent, even if it's, very minimal, it's still an extra cost. Okay. Because of that, a buyer will choose, hey, let's find houses that's, it's going to offer that. I don't even want to fuss with the other houses, right? Even though I like them, I don't feel like dealing with that. So that is something to consider. Another question is buyer agency or buyer compensation? No, is buyer agency compensation illegal? No. Okay. It is perfectly legal to for sellers to offer compensation for buyer's agents. The point is that it's completely your choice. Is it possible that I will be asked to compensate a buyer's agent when they submit a purchase offer to buy my home? It's possible. It is possible, as stated in the buyer Q&A. Q&A. It is possible because, a lot of times buyers need help. I always say that the thing with sellers buying, selling their home is that, hey, you're getting a lump sum. You're getting that net profit. So at the end of the day, in the cycle or in the system of real estate, it makes sense for a seller to pay because they're getting that lump sum. Likely you had your property for a measure of time. It has accumulated equity. And so you're getting a lump sum of cash as opposed to a buyer. We all know how hard it is to save money. And not a lot of people, have been gifted money. Most people are not in positions where they're gifted money or have inherited money and things of that nature. So they're saving like many of us, right? And so to have to save, or even if you have saved and you have a good savings amount, you still want to put it into your house, right? And the thing about it is that because it's a cycle, even at some point you're a seller, at some point you're a buyer, at some point you're going to be a seller again, at some point you're going to be a buyer again. And so it's not like you're having to pay both times. Most of us will, at least buy a couple of properties in our lifetime. And so at some point, you're going to be a seller. At some point, you're going to be a buyer, and it all kind of washes out in the end. Well, I hope that helps you. I hope that this buyer seller Q&A of this National Association of Realtor Settlement helps you to understand this scenario a bit better. Listen, if you're interested in buying or selling, you know what you need to do. You need to go to book.djmrealtyco.com. Again, book.djmrealtyco.com, and let's get you started on a buyer, seller, or investor consultation. And let's get you started. Remember, there's no place at home, no place at home buying. And I'll talk to you next time on next week's All New Tuesday Tips. Bye.